So today we want to talk about basic Canvas kind of operations, how to get your course set up, how to go about doing the basic kind of technical things that need to happen, and kind of the why behind the things we recommend as well. So this we're kind of going with the assumption that folks are new to Canvas or new to Canvas at Ferris, which is not the case for anybody here, but we'll just start at square two, I guess, instead of square one, if that's okay. So you surely know that whenever you click into Canvas, you land on your dashboard. There are a couple things to note here as an instructor. Up top, oh, welcome, Christine. All right. Since there are more people trickling in, I wonder if we might do introductions just very quickly in case we don't all know each other. Greg, would you be willing to start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Greg Potter. I'm from the College of Pharmacy. I've been here for quite a few decades now, but I'm looking to kind of add a little bit more information to my Canvas knowledge.
I'll go because I'm actually going to say a quick hello and goodbye. Since there's a small group, I'm going to leave you in the hands of both Dan and Kelly, since I would kind of be overlap, but I'm Tracy Russo. I've met some of you, but I'm the senior online designer here at Ferris, and I've been here not for decades, although I've been teaching for decades, but I've been at Ferris since 2017. So I'm going to leave you in the hands, like I said, of Dan and Kelly, because they both will have more than enough to offer. So have a wonderful session, and I'm glad all of you showed up.
Thanks, Tracy. I'm Ann Klein. I'm the program assistant in the Doctorate in Community College Leadership Program. And I'm just trying to, I don't teach courses, but I've been starting to do a few things within Canvas. So I'm just trying to get a better handle on how things function within Canvas.
I'm Kelly Sinkowski, and I'm one of the other instructional designers in eLearning.
Hi,
We can hear you. Oh, you're muted now. You were fine a second ago. There.
I don't have any sign that I'm on. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm Chris Veneklas, and I teach an education class in Grand Rapids. And I have taught the class for a long time, but I used Blackboard. And I did use Canvas last semester when I taught or worked with universities as a university supervisor. So I'm pretty familiar, but I just don't know how to put my own class into it yet. So that's it.
Thanks everyone. Let's be sure we cover that specifically before we adjourn here today. So sharing my screen again. And welcome to everyone. Chris, I was telling the others, since we've just got a small group, do feel free to interrupt. Let's make sure all your questions get answered. And we are recording this as well. So I'll be sure to get that. We'll get that to you afterward as well. Okay. So clicking into Canvas from MyFSU gets you to your dashboard. Couple things to know about the dashboard. Up at the top are going to be grouped your published courses. And does everybody know what published means? See some nodding heads. Okay. Just means accessible to the student. Okay. Down below are any unpublished courses that you are listed as the instructor for. So those will always be grouped down below, published ones up above. You can move these around just by clicking and dragging. You can also set customized colors or put an image there if you prefer that. If you ever find that you are teaching a course that does not show up on your dashboard, you can customize that as well. By going to courses and all courses here on this little pop-up panel, this will give you a list of all the courses you are listed in. In most cases, you might be going down, scrolling down, to future enrollments. This will be upcoming courses and usually things that might be unpublished. So to add and remove things to your dashboard, all you have to do is click the star next to the course you need to add. So an orange star is on the dashboard. Hollow or white or not orange star means it's off the dashboard. So you can, in this way, customize the dashboard so you can just see the things you need and kind of hide all the other things. Let's get into a course. All right. So I think I feel safe saying, speaking for my colleagues as well, navigation is one of the most important things to consider when you're setting up a course. Whether you're inheriting a course from someone else, or building it from scratch, your student experience and your experience is going to depend a lot on how you've set up the navigation. The first component of that is the course menu. That's always going to be on the left-hand side here. There are a handful of things that are always going to be there and visible. There are another set of things that you can choose to use, things that you might use that the students would not, things like that. So we can look at a couple scenarios here. This menu can be customized as well, and I encourage everybody to do that. Just decide on a scheme that works well for your particular discipline, for you personally perhaps, or something that you think is intuitive to your students. Maybe your department or your program also has kind of a standard menu that you try to keep consistent through all your courses. Customizing it's pretty straightforward. Going to settings, and up at the top, the navigation tab, you can see here. Adding or removing things from your menu is as simple as dragging an item from the top to the bottom, or vice versa. For example, I'm going to drag this McGraw-Hill link down to the bottom, and once I hit save, that will hide it from the menu. We don't need the students to see that, so we can go ahead and hide it from the menu. And you can see here it has completely disappeared. This set of things down here, where you've got the little crossed out eye, those are going to be visible to you, but not the students. You might also see that little eye icon in modules when you have a brand new course or something like that. That just means there's no content there, but that eye is going to disappear when you start adding stuff. Okay, so what are our recommendations or best practices when it comes to what the students can see? A good way to go about this might be to go into the student view, which can be done with the little glasses in the upper right. We can go ahead and do that now. When you're in the student view, you've got the pink border around your screen. So that'll always let you know whose perspective you are working with. And you can see here, the menu gets cut down pretty significantly. So these are all the things that the students in this course might be able to see here. The goal here is to keep everything straightforward, keep it to a minimum, make it easy to learn, easy to navigate, and keep things consistent throughout the course. What you're going to see in a brand new course is quite a bit more than this, and they're going to be in alphabetical order. So several good reasons for rearranging and kind of minimizing that. This is my slate of recommended icons or buttons or pages, whatever you want to, links, whatever you might call them. Kelly might have other recommendations as well. Just as a brief example, I like the syllabus up top because that's something the students are going to be looking for right away. At the very top is always going to be your home page. That can be whatever you want. By default, it is the same as your modules page. In this case, I've created a custom home page where I would put something like a welcome message or a video or something like that, and allow the students to see that before they start digging into the content. Modules is next. That's the meat of the course, as it would be in most cases. We've got several assignments grouped by type on these other links. And then we've got some communication related things here, announcements and Zoom, and grades, of course, is always going to be visible as well. So
Can I pipe in here, Dan?
yes, please.
So I would say on some of those left menu, the shorter the easier for the students for your list. But the other thing is, it depends how you formatted and structured your course. So for instance, when I structure a course under each week, I have like the readings, the things that in my video lectures, all the things they need to read and review, that's on one page. And then the next page I have is like their assignment piece called do, what they need to do, what are their action items. So I put then in that page of things that they need to do, I put in all, like if there's a discussion board, if there's an assignment due, and then I don't have it in the left menu, and I'll tell you why. Because so many times students run out of time, they'll go right to your assignments, right to the discussion for that week. They'll completely miss your videos, your teaching moments, just because they ran out of time. So they have to go through my module to find those pieces, like to find the assignments and it's still structured in a way that they know this is the read and review and this is the do. They know where to find things quickly, but it just takes the bypass out, and not that they still couldn't, but it's just another step. So it really depends how you've structured your course. And if you don't have it structured kind of that, in a way that's inherent to them as far as navigation, then you might not want to do that. But that was just one of those little tips that I picked up because of watching how people perform.
Yeah, that's absolutely a good practice. That would involve just removing kind of these three areas from the menu entirely, because you can always, anything that might live here, you can also put in a module. So what you're doing is creating just a single pathway, so your students always know, go to modules, everything's going to be here all the time, and you don't have to worry about them clicking on the wrong place or finding some goofy pathway to something you didn't know was out there or something like that. So thanks so much, Kelly. I'm going to kind of go through, these are all here in my training course just because we talk about each of these in turn. So that's what we're going to do now. Everybody doing okay so far? Any questions? Okay, thank you for the head nods. All right. The syllabus page. Two things going on here. The course syllabus section, you can see at the top here, that is just a blank text box. If we click on edit, we can see here, I've actually typed this in here, syllabus document. It's just a blank box where you might put your syllabus document. What else might go here? Maybe a rubric for your course, maybe your office hours. It's a great place for things that students will access frequently. So it kind of keeps it front and center there.
Can I say a comment there where you just were, Dan?
Yeah.
I would put the PDF of your course syllabus and the PDF of your course schedule here. I always put at the top of the syllabus page, It's also in the modules, like the welcome section, but I put them both there for scanners, and so they can print them out. So many times students, they can find stuff in the course, but some are hands-on still, even though they're on an online course. I just print the whole course schedule and paste it on, next to their computer or whatever, put it in their planner kind of thing. So, or their own phone calendars, whatever the case may be. Just they use them all different ways. So I put that there for accessibility too. So go ahead. Sorry, I just want to add that in there.
Yeah. For accessibility and for convenience, that's the kind of redundancy we do like to see. The second section here is a table that is self-creating, if you will. The thing about this is you cannot edit it directly. If this is going to be built as we create things elsewhere in the course. So as soon as we add an assignment with a due date, it's going to show up on this list. So to show up on the list, actually, what it needs is a point value. Anything that's graded is going to appear on this list. Additionally, anything you add to the calendar is going to appear on this list. If it has a due date, the due date will appear as well. Any kind of due time or availability, those are going to be on the right end of this column here. So that is a quick glance look at the course of all like the substantive kind of deliverables that are going to be happening throughout it. So the students can just come to the syllabus page, get a quick overview of what's coming up so they can plan accordingly. Okay, and that's about it for the syllabus page. Okay, modules, lot to cover here. Okay. First up is a module that I have called Start Here. You might call it Welcome. This is the same kind of idea that Kelly just mentioned. The welcome section. Important for kind of setting the tone and letting the students know what to expect. Again, a good place for a little bit of redundancy. Your syllabus might be here again, your office hours, your welcome message, that kind of thing. So a good starting module. Down below, and bear in mind, your content might be set up differently. You might organize your content by topic, or you might have modules that are grouped in some other way. This sample happens to be by week. So each week we have another topic, and the thing I wanted to point out here is the level of detail that's on these module titles. In general, I urge you to be specific or include as many details as you can. The reason being, this is the only place this information appears. So if I have a week 1, well, great. What is week 1? Okay, it's August 10th to the 14th. That's great. What is the topic of this week? Okay, it's right here. That way, all that information is in one place. If we were to collapse it, all that information is still visible. But that lets the student know kind of what to expect when they click into the items underneath. That information is not visible anywhere else. We can't click into this. It's not necessarily part of the information that's on the other pages. So, a lot of times this kind of information will mirror the schedule that might be on your syllabus or posted alongside your syllabus. So that's another kind of redundancy that's just kind of good to have as students come and go. They can quickly see, what week am I on? Okay, it's this date, things are due here.
And that's such a great idea to have the date in there, because so many times, with online courses, they do them in blocks of time versus usually sitting in a class for 3.5 hours or whatever the case may be. So it's so helpful for them by the time, they can pretty much track of, what dates, what week 2, 2, 1, 2, whatever, 3. By the time they're in week 11, what's the day? What week am I in? They get into their course. They're sitting down to do their course section. It's so nice if they have those dates right there. They can go right to the right place. Of course, they have to know what date the date is, but usually they're, most people are more well-versed on what day it is versus what week you're in as far as the course goes. So that's a great idea, and that's very helpful for students.
Okay, so each of these blocks, I'm sure you know, is a module. We can create as many modules as we need using the button in the upper right here. That will give you a blank field to name the module. That's where you put in all that information. You can also add restrictions to it. Prerequisites are things like the student needs to look at module 1 before they see module 2. Or we can lock it until a certain date.
Yep, that's great. I always do that, so they have to go through it sequentially in my course.
Absolutely. Any new modules you create are going to appear at the bottom of this page. You can always move anything by clicking and dragging using the, I don't know if this thing has a name, but it's the little area with 8 dots here. You can get the 4-way cursor and move them around however you need. Same goes for any items that are within your module. You can click and drag that to other modules as you need. Anything on this page has to be in a module. You can't have an assignment, for example, just sitting off by itself. But for the most part, I think, I've not come across a situation where you would want that. But whether it's start here or in a week, or maybe you have a module called final exam or something like that, any given item has to be in a module. Another thing that's true for any given item is it's going to have a little green icon on the edge here. For the students, everything kind of shows up as black. So just, FYI, their view is a little bit different than yours. But all these icons are going to be different depending on the type of thing that it is. So this, for example, is just a page with text. Can you guys see that all right? How's that? This is just a page with text. A paperclip is like an attached document. You can see this is a PDF. The chain link is an external link, something outside of Canvas typically. Page with the pencil is an assignment. The rocket ship is a quiz. Go figure. I don't know how they came up with a rocket ship, right. But that's what it is. And the speech bubble is a discussion. So there are others, but those are the ones you'll encounter most frequently. A note on publishing. The master publishing switch for your course is on the home page. And again, that just means it's visible to students. On the modules page, you're going to see a publish button for pretty much everything you can add here. The modules themselves can be published or unpublished. Any given item can be published or unpublished. So this, for example, this welcome message, for a student to see it, both the module and the item need to be published. So if I were, this, for example, if I were to click that, that's going to hide all 3 of these items. If I want them to see everything but the welcome message, I need to publish the module, but unpublish the item.
I'm glad you focused on that too, Dan, because that's something I see where I'll get a faculty question where the students can't see the test, or they can't see the discussion board or the page, and I don't understand. I've published the course, I published the item, but if that module isn't also published, that's when they can't see anything in it.
right. And we can always add items to modules from this page. The plus sign is your friend in this regard. Clicking on the plus sign will give you this pop-up box. And from here, you can add any kind of item that you can think of. Everything's alphabetical, so it defaults to assignment. And what that's going to do is give you an option to create a new one. And it's also going to list every existing assignment that's already in the course. Same thing for any other kind of item that you might select from the drop down here. Quizzes, same thing. New quiz, or I can pick one of the existing ones. The point here is, while you can add new things from this page, the thing to know is the item itself lives somewhere else, which we'll talk about in a second. What you're doing here is adding a link to the item in your module. So that's going to be important in a minute here. Same thing with anything else here. External URL, that's a link to somewhere outside Canvas. External tool, maybe you have content from a particular publisher that you want to link to. There's some other stuff in here that you can take a peek at as well. But you can add, point is, you can add anything you like to a module right from this page. If you ever need to edit your module title, or for some reason copy it or duplicate it or something, you've got those options from the drop-down menu on the right edge here. Okay. I want to talk about these three things kind of in unison here. So by default, some of these might be visible when you get into your new course. For your building purposes and your teaching purposes, I would keep them on your menu. But as Kelly explained earlier, you might not necessarily want them visible to students. But first up is assignments. And this is where we get a little language thing that we like to explain. This assignments page includes everything in your course that is graded. Whatever, regardless of the type of item you might be talking about. It could be a quiz, it could be a discussion, it could be the item type called assignment, which is different than what this means. Okay, so assignment here is anything that is graded at all. Okay, so to this page, you can add anything that is graded. If you add a graded item in a module, it's also going to show up here. Does that make sense to everyone?
So you can build out, when you're designing, you can build out all your assignments if you want, all your discussion, anything graded, and then add your modules. Or you can start with your design by putting in all your modules and then just adding the assignments as you go or discussions as you go. Either way, it doesn't matter. They end up in the same place, however you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly right. In any case, I do want to recommend that when you're done building, you click to this page and check out, make sure everything is appearing as you expect. And in particular, what are your assignment groups doing? Assignment groups are important for a couple of reasons. They firstly show up as subtotals in the Grade Center. If we were to click over to the Grade Center here, you can see, I need to rearrange this, but we actually have 3 assignment groups, and these are all showing as percentages. The students are just going to see these 2. So if we go into if we go into the student view actually and click on grades, what the students see is quite a bit different than you, of course. here are our assignment groups showing as subtotals. The percentage here is the total they've earned out of the total number of things that have been graded. It is not the total number of points available in the course. So that's a distinction that you may wish to explain to your students, just to kind of reduce confusion there, because this is not the same as the total number of points in the course. So what they're seeing is only the total of what has been graded. So the total they could have earned up to that point, if you will. Okay. The other thing that the assignments page allows you to do is to weight your assignment categories, which might be defined by these groups here. So for example, I've got my 3 assignment groups weighted in a way that doesn't make sense, I'm realizing. So 50% is here for assignments, 50% is discussions, 10% is attendance. So my discussions I've pulled out on their own, but under here, under assignments, you can see I've got 2 quizzes, but I've also got a test, which is the item called an assignment, a traditional assignment. So that would be a paper, for example, or maybe a lab report or something like that, pretty much a document that the student's going to be submitting. Could be a Word doc, PDF, Excel, spreadsheet, or a presentation or something like that. Just something that is not a quiz or a discussion. Okay. So this is also the place where you would weight these categories if you have that need.
Dan, let me ask you, did you input the assignments, discussion, and attendance as part of the grading for your class under the assignments module, under that whole section? I mean, that's not a default, is it?
No, it's not. By default, you're going to have one assignment group called assignments.
Yeah.
Things you import might show up in a separate assignment group, but you can always move them. You can move them around. In general, I would create everything in the same assignment group and then move them around. By default, they're going. If I were to create a new assignment here, it's just going to appear in the. It's just going to appear in the top.
Greg, are you asking where did you actually create it? Because if you create in the discussion tab, it'll still show up under assignments.
No, I'm wondering, how do you get 10% for attendance? Or how do you weighted it, you said, but if you're all assignments or you're grading, then how do you calculate 20%?
Oh, right. That's up here, actually.
Or how do you do that?
Okay, so this is, we're still on the assignments page here. So that functionality is just tied to this page, which is another reason to keep it visible to yourself. So the little,
if you're getting there, if I stole your thunder.
No, I was going to move on, so I'm glad you said so.
Okay, all right.
So 3 dots in the upper right here, and then one of the options here is assignment groups weight. So here, you're going to get a little pop-up. By default, it's going to look like this. So we check the box to say, yes, we want to weight our assignment groups. And it'll allow you to enter percentages for each module, or each assignment group, rather, that you've created.
Oh, okay.
So if you plan to weight your assignments, be sure that all the groups you need are created. You can sort your assignments then, and then do the weighting in one fell swoop.
Great, thank you.
Sure. And our other topic was when you create a new assignment, it's going to by default show up in your topmost
Yeah.
assignment group.
Yep.
So you can move them. You move them as needed from there. And actually, you can put it in a particular assignment group when you're creating it as well. So you can see here, assignment group. I can pick any of the 3 that exist, or I can create
a new group. Okay.
Yeah, many pathways to accomplish a smaller number of tasks, I think, but that's always good. It's hard to mess something up in Canvas, so if it ever gives you trouble, just give us a call. Okay, so that was assignment. That's the assignments page. These other 2 here, discussions and quizzes, we can actually talk about together. These are just separate groupings of that particular assignment type. So if you've got a discussion, whether you create it in modules, in assignments, it's going to show up here too. So this is just another place where you might see them. The benefit here is maybe not worth having it visible as far as navigation goes, but the benefit here is you can see at a glance if there are unread posts on the right side here. So that just lets you know quickly, you know, is there anything here I need to read or respond to, that kind of thing. So in that way, it might be more helpful to your students than to you. So that's another consideration when you're thinking about, you know, do I make this visible to the students or not? But okay, quizzes, same thing. It's just a grouping of all the quizzes you have created, whether in modules or assignments or on this page. If you create something called a quiz, it's going to show up on this page here. So that's just a convenient way to see that you've created everything that you're meaning to. Okay. Any other questions on the things we've talked about so far? Cool. Okay. Everybody kind of uses announcements in different ways. If I were teaching, this is something I would use frequently. It's a fast way to get communication to the whole class at once. And it's a great way to kind of keep everybody updated as the course progresses. You know, I like the idea of weekly announcements. You know, just as a reminder, we're going into week 3 now. Everybody did a great job on the discussions in week 2. So keep it up, because we've got more of the same coming your way this week. So it's a great place for reminders of due dates and things like that as well, just to kind of build in a little more redundancy and kind of another touch point for you with your students, just to, especially if you're fully online, keeping everybody active and engaged throughout is just, you know, the more you can do there, the better. So
I like to use that too, Dan, for like you said, the weekly, and kind of do a checklist of what's coming up this week, that kind of thing. But I also like to remind them if they've got, say, a project due or a research paper in a few weeks, you know, hey, this week to stay on track, you should have, you know, finalized your topic, or you're interviewed your person, or done start your research, something like that, to like keep them thinking about what they're supposed to be doing, or, you know, studying for the upcoming, you know, midterm. Oh gosh, they forget it is 2 weeks away, you know. It's just, they lose track of time like the rest of us, you know, and it's just kind of that nice, like, where should I be on track to be successful in your course kind of thing.
So that's a big point from pedagogy standpoint. So it's come across like more is more, or is timing really important last minute? Because I know I've got kids in college too, and I've heard they're doing it last minute too, but because there's also this thought of less is more because they get bombarded. I mean, they get bombarded from all their courses and their instructors too with, so do they look at them? But you're leaning a little bit more towards more is more and reminders, especially as it gets really close. Because I've had students, it's 2 hours before 3 hours. It's like,
Yeah, I know.
done, and they get it done. So
That's a great question.
could you reiterate? I mean, because that's a big, because I've had students last semester that, oh man, they in the last 6 hours, the last 4 hours, they finally did it, or I gave them an extension and they did it. So I want to be solid about this. So give me the straightforward.
I think all of, if your students know every Monday you send out your announcement, it's not overload if it's an expectation. Now, if you're sending them out a couple times a week, sporadic days, that feels unplanned and that can feel chaotic. If you kind of save your feedback, and I'm not talking about the emergency kind of things, oh my gosh, I gotta let them know, whatever, I'm not talking about, that's fine. But for like a weekly one, whether it's Wednesday or whatever day you choose, if you could be consistent, you can even make them ahead in a Word doc and just plug them in when you need it if it's a time thing for you. But I think if it's all about the format of your course. So if the format of your course is consistent throughout your modules, and it's a balanced course, they know where to find things, it looks similar each week, and then if your announcement comes the same day each week and it's kind of what's going on, what we got to plan for, whether it's Sunday or Monday or whenever, they kind of can plan on it. It's a rhythm that they can establish for your course, which would be different from someone else's course. So I have to agree with you that it is overwhelming if they're getting sporadic announcement emails. That's hard for them. So I guess I'm not a believer in the every 2 days, way to go, keep it up. But I am in that, like Dan said, once a week, hey, this is what I saw in last week's, discussion board, really great conversation. I liked how you continued it, whatever, or in your papers. And then maybe moving forward, this is what we need to think about this week and what's due. So it's really a feedback opportunity, but that's where I think the reminders need to come in, but as a flow, it's just like a conversation. I think of the reminders, like the announcements, is if you're teaching a face-to-face class, what's the summary, the recap of the week that you say before they walk out the door? That's kind of what I think about with what you're going to say, moving into next week kind of thing. What's coming up? What do you need to be doing? So I kind of like to put those points in that announcement after some positive feedback about whatever is going on. Great to see all your faces in the, synchronous chat last week. Great questions, whatever, something positive. And then what's coming up, like you would if before they walk out of class is kind of how I think of that. I'm always thinking for online of how does it transfer from face to face? So, I hope that helps. I think once a week is fine. I probably wouldn't do more than that.
I think that's excellent, Kelly. I think I've heard that. I realize that too. And I've heard that from my kids and some of my students too. So I think you reiterated it. Excellent. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. And there's always going to be the need for follow up with individuals. And that's where some of these other tools might come in. Before we get to that, I wanted to mention I want to talk about Zoom first, actually. You will have a Zoom page in your course. Are you all going to be using Zoom this spring for one purpose or another? Okay. So whether it's a synchronous class meeting or office hours or whatever else, you can schedule your class meetings right in here if you want to. This interface is going to be the same as if you might schedule meetings in your Zoom account. The difference is your students can see this. Your students can see anything you put here. So if you want there's two kind of approaches I've seen to this. One of them is you create one meeting with one link that you use all the time for this particular class, or one link that you use all the time for all your courses. and you put that link somewhere obvious, your home page or what have you. The second approach is doing a recurring meeting that is particular to each course. I think there's benefits to both. If you do, say, your personal meeting room all the time, that makes it easy to copy the link and put it everywhere for people who need it. The advantage of doing a unique meeting is that, well, your students will be able to see the schedule here, and it would prevent things like students from other classes accidentally popping in too early to a class that's in progress, or popping into office hours when you're, talking to somebody where you might need more privacy and that kind of thing. So
that's a good point. If you have multiple classes, then I would definitely, what Dan's talking about is have them start a half an hour apart or something in case there's, overlap conversation or something, so that, or someone's coming 15 minutes early because you always got that one person in the class who likes to be super, super early. So I think the overlap can happen. So I would, if you've got multiple courses, have that built in where there's some downtime on your Zoom for that, whether it's a half an hour or whatever. And for yourself, because, Zoom burnout is real. Get up, get coffee, whatever in between.
That's right. That's all I wanted to say there. So again, that's a page you can either use or not in your course. And if you don't use it, I would definitely hide it from your menu. Grade Center. This could be its own conversation, but we're going to try to cover the very basics. And Chris, I don't want to forget about talking about importing either. Your Grade Center, when you click on grades, is going to be a big spreadsheet. I think you probably all know. Just a couple notes here. If you click on view and hit statuses, this is the legend for the color coding that you might see on the spreadsheet. Blue is late, missing is red, resubmitted is green, dropped is the yellowish. So those are things you might encounter. There are a lot of little nuances with the Grade Center that are often a case of, well, give us a call if something is frustrating you for more than 5 minutes. It's probably a simple fix, but we want to be sure it's not going to cause the student undue stress or anything like that. So if you ever have a question about what's going on in the Grade Center, feel free to give us a call. Speed grader, we wanted to mention too. Lots of things going on here too. On traditional assignments, we certainly encourage you to make use of the things that you're seeing here. Inline feedback, the tools up here called point annotation or the highlighter. These are examples of each where you can point to a particular section of the paper or passage to draw their attention to it and give them very specific feedback. This option is only available with assignments, not quizzes or discussions or other things. Rubrics, on the other hand, are available for more types of assignments. So that is a great place to provide particular feedback. Rubrics also make it easier to ensure that you are being thorough and consistent throughout your class, particularly if you have a big class. Greg, we talked to one of your colleagues this afternoon who was talking about a class of 100. That's a case where I would argue it's more important to have rubrics in a situation like that, where you might be doing a lot of grading, spending a lot of time in the Grade Center here, making sure that people are getting consistent feedback, and that you are being consistent over the course of grading an assignment. Down below here are some other cool features. You can add general comments by typing in here. You can also add video comments by recording yourself just as you might in Zoom or Studio. You can add yourself providing feedback in an audio and video kind of way. Just to mix it up, that's good to see occasionally. You can talk faster than you type, so for the time-saving benefit, you might want to take advantage of that. And it also provides that additional connection to the student, you know, letting them hear your voice, see your face a little more frequently. The final option here is a talk-to-text tool. It's pretty accurate. You're going to want to double-check that for acronyms, and particularly in a discipline like pharmacy. You want to double check the accuracy of things like that. But for the most part, you know, if you click the button, you just tell it what you want to say, and it'll turn it into text here. Okay, that was very quick. But I want to get to one more thing, which was course copying. So if you've got a new course for the spring, it's going to be a big empty slate before it has anything in it. And again, that's where you're going to see this giant alphabetical list of options here that you're going to want to filter. But for the purposes of getting new content into it, you might be building it from scratch. But in most cases, you're probably going to be copying over content from another faculty member or from your own fall or spring course. In those cases, this button here on the right is what you need: import existing content. So again, we are in the course, we are in the spring course, the one that you need the content in. So we're importing, and you've got a bunch of options here. If you're bringing it over from Blackboard, you're going to want something like this. But if you're copying from a different Canvas course, you're going to want the top option here, copy a Canvas course. Right here, it's going to ask you to type in the name of that older course. For example, if we want, if we're doing a pharmacy course, okay, you just start typing it in, and it's going to pull up everything you are an instructor in. So any course that exists, you'll be able to show up on this list. You can also type in the CRN, I believe. Yes. So if you've got that, you can type that in. It's, well, I'm just because I'm an administrator, it's pulling up everything in the university, which is why we need to be specific. So once you've selected your course, you'll have some more options down here. In most cases, you're going to want all content. You can adjust the due dates if you like. What this will do is you kind of give it some parameters. The old course starts at such and such a date, and it ends on this date. And oops, the new semester starts here and ends here. It's going to do a best guess at, you know, based on your old due dates, it'll take a guess at what the new due dates should be.
That is really nice, by the way.
It is. But it comes with the caveat that, you know, you always want to double check it, because I've found that its accuracy is never 100%. So do double check that kind of stuff, but it is a great tool. After that, hit import, and down here, the process is going to run, and it'll let you know when it's done. After that, you'll start to see your stuff pop into these areas over here. your menu is going to rearrange based on the older course. So it will pull in the arrangement from your older course at that same time. Do be sure to double check, particularly if it's coming from Blackboard. Blackboard has a habit of including a lot of junk that you don't need. Assignment groups, in particular, redundant assignments. You probably might have assignment groups called total or something like that. That kind of stuff can be deleted. It's all just kind of extra Blackboard stuff that is not necessary in Canvas. So
if you've got a Blackboard course that you've taught many, many times, you're probably better off just building it the first time in Canvas without all the back files and all the stuff that's still saved that you don't even remember is in there.
Yeah, that's so true. as unfortunate as that truth is, it's just to be sure that everything is clean and working the way you want. Building it from scratch is, and it's not to be dismissed out of hand. It's a good option.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, please.
What I'm doing is, I've got to say this right. Dr. Ng taught the class I'm teaching on campus last semester, and I'm teaching in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And she has put me on her course so that I can copy and use what I wish.
Okay.
And there are some changes she's made to the course. So do I import her whole course and then delete what I want and then add what I want, or do I start with my own first?
I would recommend option 1 there.
Okay, add her course first.
Yep. Bring everything in to yours, so
Okay.
you can play with it without messing anything up for her. And then, just as you said, delete what you don't need and add additional things as you do.
Is it easy to delete?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So
And
if
that
we've
way-
got everything for in terms of deleting, everything is kind of accomplished through the 3 dots on the right edge of most things.
Okay.
So we can do that for items, and we can do that for modules as well.
Okay.
And you might have noticed there, if it's a module, it says delete. If it's an item here, it says remove. And you remember, that's because the thing does not live here. This is just a link to the thing. If you have an assignment that you need to delete, you need to go to the assignments page here. So this is where the actual thing lives. And if you click on it here now, it says delete. So that's how you know you're actually getting rid of the thing.
Good
So
point.
you would suggest that I delete through that assignment page then? If I'm not deleting the whole module?
Correct. Yeah, if you just
Okay.
need to get rid of individual items, do it on the assignments page.
Okay.
The difference of that is if you made changes you like, and then you copied the course in, it'll erase all your, or add it in funky places. So if you just first get the whole course, the old course in, then you can modify it and you won't lose anything that way. I mean, otherwise you can bring it in pieces, but that'll take forever compared to just a full course copy and then fix it the way you like it. That's the fastest route.
Yeah. Well, I do want to thank you all for joining today. We're at 5 o'clock. So I